Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fryar place, where the conversations are fire. This is our second show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please hit me up in the comments. Just to let me know you're watching. We're going to put a couple of you up. As they hit me up in the comments, Adrian, just throw a couple of them up on the screen so I can say hello. Hey, all right. We're going to be taking some time during the show to what we're going to call fan the flames of our conversation, or fan the flames of conversation, by taking some questions from those of you who are watching. So hang in there with us and don't go anywhere. Now, before I bring in our guest today, I need to give a few shout outs like we did last week. First of all, shout out to Alicia Way, these dope overlays. He's my man. Pots and pans, bottles and cans. Alicia, great job, man. Shout out to Lou Rogers, Vision Audio Visual. He's our videographer. And shout out to the Green Legion. We're going to thank them for helping to promote the Fryar place. Yeah, shout out to my in-studio assistant, my daughter Adrian. And please know this, it is official. I am an official member of the ECAM family. Yes, can you see this t-shirt? Yeah, you can see this t-shirt. I just feel official now. I came home a few days ago and there was a box at my doorstep. I opened it up, and there were these ECAM t-shirts and an ECAM hat. Oh, I should have brought my coffee cup. And my ECAM coffee cup. I want to thank Doc Rock for making it happen. Thank you, Press and Sew. That's S-O-W, Sew. Yeah, and just in case you didn't know, this broadcast is being brought to you by ECAM, virtual software made for Mac that carries your message across the world. All right, let's bring in today's guest. His name is Tony Collins. I met Tony when I was a rookie in the NFL. He was already playing for the New England Patriots when I got there. And our theme, again, for these first couple of weeks for our show is from the NFL to the prison cell, then and now. And Tony, he's got a story that he's going to share with us today. Now, for those of you who do not know anything about Tony Collins, the running back, the NFL running back, Pro Bowl running back, let me hit you with some information real quick. Tony Collins, there it is, 1981 New England Patriots, second round draft pick out of East Carolina. New England Patriots, 1981 through 1987. He was with the Indianapolis Colts, 1988. Miami Dolphins, 1990. Orlando Predators, that's the Arena Football League. I don't know if any of you remember that. 1991. Cincinnati Rockets, also in the Arena League. 1992. Then the Miami Hooters. I thought the Hooters was a restaurant, but apparently it was a football team in Miami in 1993. Tony's laughing in the background. 1983 Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowl running back. He is on the New England Patriots All-80s team. Yes, I got some stats for you now, some NFL stats. 4,647 rushing yards, 32 rushing TDs. Y'all, just anybody can't do this, 261 receptions for 2,356 receiving yards and 12 receiving TDs. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Pro Bowl running back from the New England Patriots, Tony Collins. What's up, TC?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Pastor?
I can't. Don't call me Pastor on this show. I'm not Pastor on this show. I'm Irving Fryar on the show. Ever since you came to the church, you used to call me a lot of different things, but ever since you came to the church, you've been calling me Pastor. What happened? Why did you start calling me Pastor? And I'm not trying to do this to pat myself on the back, but something shifted.
No, it's just a matter of respect, brother. That's all. That's all that is. Just respect.
Well, you used to cuss at me and call me all kinds of different things. And that you said you loved me back then. You said that was out of love. Why you call me that, Tony? I love you.
Man, you too funny, man.
Listen, when I got to New England in 1984, I was a rookie. You had been there for a few years. I think it was your third or fourth year, and you just kind of took me under your wing. What was that something that was normal? I don't necessarily see that today in the league, but was that something that guys normally did, or was there something that you saw in me, or was that just, what was it?
I loved your spirit, man. I loved. First of all, you're a phenomenal athlete, and that impressed me from the jump start when I seen you run. When I seen you ran that 4.240 in training camp on grass.
On grass, like, wow. Yeah. On grass.
But our spirit connect, and I really believe that's why we're still friends today. Right. There are a lot of players that I played with that you just don't connect with, but you was the one that I connected with, and I tried to take you under my wing, but I didn't have too much of a wing to give you.
Now, just so the folk know, I just want you. Tony said he tried to take me under his wing, so I want to let you know this. So I met him 1984, I believe it was, because we didn't have mini camps then. So I showed up at training camp in August, and we had 6 weeks of training camp, 2 days. It was different than it is now, nothing like it is now. And so training camp is over now, and the season has begun. We're maybe 1 or 2 games into the season. My birthday is September 28th. Tony shows up at my house for my birthday, and things went downhill from there. Things took a turn for the worse from there. I think Tony froze up there. We'll try to see if we can't get him back with his phone. He's on his phone in his house, so we're trying to see if we can get him back. But anyway, Tony and I hooked up on my birthday, and things kind of took a turn for the worse. He and I started dibbling, and well, we weren't dibbling and dabbling. We connected in a way that a lot of athletes were connecting back then, and that was with drugs and alcohol and promiscuity and all kinds of crazy stuff that we were doing. And that's really how our relationship kind of took off from there. Not that that's a good turn. Oh, here comes Tony. He's coming back in. We're going to bring him back in. Let me see that, Adrian. Give us a second, y'all. We're going to bring Tony back in. Somehow he got disconnected, and we're going to join him back in. Come on. We're trying to bring him back in. He got disconnected. We're going to copy the link and send it back to him. These are the kinds of things you just can't prepare for. You just have to wing it when it happens. Here he comes, trying to come back in again. Let's see. Let's see if we can get him this time. There he is. All right, what happened to you?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I just got disconnected.
That's just modern technology. That's all. It's all right. Glad you hung in there. I mean, there you go again. You froze again. There you are. Okay, whatever you're doing, stop doing it. Leave it alone. You're fine. Now I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. I'm not a lip reader. I can read your lips, and you're asking me, can I hear you? We practiced this before you came on. I cannot hear you. Now he's frozen again. Are you good? No, I can't hear you. I see you moving. It's real time, but I don't hear you. You told me, Tony, that you were very professional when it came to doing these online podcasts and Zooms. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Shake your head if you can. Shake your head if you can hear me. Yes. So I'm not sure what you need to do with your phone or what you've done with your phone. Do you have it on do not disturb or airplane mode? Do you have it on one of those? Try turning the volume up and see what happens. Try turning the volume up. No? Don't know what that is? If someone who's on the eCam community, if you know how to help us out, throw something in the comments and let us know. I don't know what Tony can do on his end. Oh, he went back out again. I don't know what Tony can do on his end. We were going to talk about, though, hopefully Tony can get it together, or we can get it together. Tony has a book out. Tony has had some ups and downs, trials and tribulations, as has the rest of us. Oh, here he comes again. Let's see if we can bring him in. Thank you, my in-studio assistant. Let's see if we can't get this right this time. Okay, there he is. Okay, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
I have no idea what happened, man. I don't know.
It's just modern technology. It just happens. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just left me hanging. That's all. Got me over here sweating, trying to. You froze again. Okay, why do you keep freezing?
I don't know, man. Everything was perfect before we got on the air.
Okay, yeah, it was perfect before we got on the air. Maybe it's the air, but so I started telling everybody about how we first met. You know, our first actual close interaction, and how that involved drugs and alcohol, and that's the kind of relationship. Not necessarily, that was all it was, but our relationship included drugs and alcohol and promiscuity and running the streets and doing all that kind of crazy stuff. And from what I understand, you had never done drugs prior to the NFL, high school or college. And that's not true for me. I did. but tell, what happened with that? How did you get involved with that?
I grew up in a church. In my home, we went to church every Sunday. We didn't miss a Sunday.
Right.
And my father was a deacon. My mother was the deaconess, and pretty much everything in the church. And so we went to church every Sunday. And I had my goal. My goal was to play in the NFL. When I was 10 years old, I went to Mom. I said, Mom, I want to play in the NFL. And she said to me, son, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And from that day on, man, I believe I was going to make it to the NFL. So in my mindset, I thought that I couldn't do no drugs, no drinking. Okay. I don't want none of that because I'm making it to the NFL.
Right.
And got through college, no drugs, nothing. My third season, my second season in the league. Mm-hmm. Well, I got to tell you my rookie season. I'll let you know what this. But
tell it all. We want to hear it all.
So my rookie season, they actually drafted me to return kickoff return.
Okay.
They had Horace Ivy was the number 2 running back, and Vegas Ferguson from Notre Dame was the number 1 running back at the time, and they had just drafted Vegas the year before. And so my mindset was when I got there, I was going to be a starter. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Because when I looked at Vegas, I looked at Horace Ivy, I said, they ain't no better than me.
They weren't Tony Collins.
Yeah. I just need the opportunity. Uh-huh. And so I think the second week of training camp, Horace Ivy gets hurt,
Mm-hmm.
so I moved up to the second string running back.
Right.
And the last week of training camp, Vegas Ferguson goes down with a little sprained ankle. So I get to start the very first game of the season against well, it was the Baltimore Colts back then, and I had like 84 yards rushing and like 60 some yards receiving, and my career was off and going. I never gave up that position. That I started the whole rookie season. Second season coming in the beginning of training, I get cracked ribs.
Okay.
And so I had a choice to make: either stay on the field, take painkillers, or give somebody an opportunity to take my job like I took Horace Ivy job and Vegas Ferguson job.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a choice. Life's all about choices, man. I made a choice. I'm going to stay on the field.
Right.
So I'm taking painkillers every day, man. I take the shots before the game. I take the shot at halftime. And when the cortisone wears off, now I got to take these painkillers,
right?
Because I'm in so much pain,
right?
And I got addicted to painkillers my second year in the league, and it got so bad, Irvin, that I was getting nauseated because I was taking so many painkillers.
Wow!
And one of the guys on the team, man, they say, "Hey, man, you smoke some weed, it'll take the nausea away from
take the edge off. It'll take the edge. Smoke some weed, it'll take the edge off. Yeah, I know about that."
I made the choice to smoke some weed, and sure enough,
did it take the edge off?
And I was I was popping pills
and smoking weed. Listen, those of you who are watching, we're laughing now because, we can look back on our situations and laugh. Thank God, we didn't destroy ourselves completely. We might have destroyed some brain cells and some opportunities we may have missed. But thank God for grace. Thank God for his mercy, because we're still here today. But man, some of the things that Tony and I have been through and done, we look back now, we were just so naive and so willing to be promiscuous and be daredevils that, we would believe that smoking weed is going to take the edge off, rather than trying to get some help in regards to, the addiction that had developed with the painkillers.
But it actually did. It helped me because, but the thing about it was, my mom and dad always taught me, you got to watch who you hang around with. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, is that they should have told me that when before you came to my house on my birthday. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I knew, man. I knew. So it was to a point where when I started smoking weed, so you got to get weed. It ain't legal. So you got to go to different places where you ain't supposed to be going.
Right.
And I was hanging around different people that I shouldn't have been hanging around, and I was addicted to the drugs. I mean, to the painkillers. So I had to take them, and and I was playing well. Everything was going fantastic. That following year, I go to the Pro Bowl, and so everything is just still going smooth. But I'm hanging around the wrong people.
Right.
And when you got there, Irv, I was like, I had just started doing coke right before you got there.
Right.
Because the marijuana led to the coke.
Right.
Because of the people I was associating with.
Mm-hmm. And that's I think that's a misconception of a lot of people. There's a lot of people who smoke marijuana today. It's legal in certain states. It's medicinal. Yes, there are some benefits medicinally when it comes to it. But just like myself, I started out with marijuana, and then marijuana eventually led to cocaine, and then snorting cocaine eventually led to freebasing cocaine, and that was the extent that I had ever gotten to. I never got to anything different than that in terms of like heroin or anything like that. But it just one leads to the other, and two wrongs don't make a right, and it compounds. Absolutely. It compounds. Let me ask you a question. When when you would where were you getting the painkillers from? You were getting the painkillers and you were taking a lot of painkillers. You weren't getting them at the drugstore over the counter. You were getting them from where?
The trainers.
The trainers. Yes. Yes.
I mean, it was like it was something that it was natural. Just trainers. Hey man, I need a pill. I can't even remember what kind of pills they were taking, but they were sure taking the pain away.
Listen, it's like the trainers. Look, and I'm familiar with not necessarily painkillers, but I'm familiar with how things were run back then. And it was almost like, it wasn't this way, but it was almost as if there was this big jar that was in the trainer's room that you could just go grab a handful of whatever it is you needed to take care of whatever ailed you. Because it was important to them. I mean, we come, for those of you who are watching, Tony and I come from a mindset and an era of football where you played hurt. You did not, even if you got hurt, you didn't lay on the field. You got your butt up off the field. Even if your leg was broken, you get up off the field and you get on the sidelines so they could take care of you. But you did not lay on the field. If you were hurt, you better not act like it. If you were injured, you had to play injured. You did not come off the field. That's different than the mindset today. Maybe our mindset, I mean, that's the way we were taught. That's how we were brought up in football. If you didn't play, you were letting yourself down. You weren't a real football player. You didn't let your teammates down. You let your family down. That's what was ingrained inside of us. And that's the mentality that we had. It doesn't excuse, creating an addiction with painkillers. No. But it does help to understand the mindset of someone who would take painkillers to stay on the field, because that's how we were taught. That's what we were taught.
And see, you love the sport so much. I know you love football just as much as I loved it.
I didn't love football. I didn't love football. No, let's get that straight. No.
You show played like you loved it.
I was an athlete. I could play football. I did not love football. I was good at football and I could play it, but football was a job. Football hurt. Football took a lot of time. I had nope, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't grow up like you, Tony. I did not grow up wanting to be a professional football player. No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
My mindset was, and it was that way with the trainers and that way with the coaches. You get knocked out in the game, you get some smelling sauce, and you get right back in the game. I've gone a whole week with headaches, knowing I got a concussion, knowing something is wrong with me. Right. And I'm not telling nobody.
Right.
Well, because I want to play next week. But they were going to make us play anyway because there was no protocol for us back then. You get knocked out in the game, you got to go right back in the game.
That's right. I remember we were playing in, I don't know if you were still on the team or not, but Raymond Berry was our head coach, and we were in Indianapolis. And back then, Raymond had me, you know this, we didn't throw the ball first to set up the run. We played old school football where we ran the ball to set up the pass. And I was a good blocker because when I was in college, I was a wingback. I blocked for Mike Rozier, so I knew how to block real well, and I wasn't scared to block. I knew how to block guys that were bigger than me. So Raymond had me doing a lot of blocking in a wingback set, blocking the end or blocking down on a linebacker, because that's what I did in college. And in Indianapolis, he had me blocking on this one particular play, and I messed around and got my hand caught between two helmets, my helmet and one of those linemen's helmets. And I broke my hand. I broke my thumb, actually. I broke my thumb. And so I come to the sidelines and I show Ron O'Neal. Ron O'Neal was our trainer. I show Ron. He said, "Oh, it's broke. So he takes me over to Raymond and said, "Listen, Irving broke his hand. I'm going to take him, he's got to sit out." Raymond said, "Ain't nothing wrong with his legs. Tell him to get back out there and be a decoy." That's the way. And guess what? I took my behind back out in the field and was a decoy for the rest of the game. As a matter of fact, they threw me a pass and I caught it with my broken hand and never missed any time as a receiver with a broken hand. We just kept on rolling. That's the way it was. That's the way it was.
That was our mindset. That's how it was.
And you have a story. I want you to tell your story. You go around and you speak and you tell your story. I want you to tell your story because, yes, we were in the league, but we're people too. I think people sometimes forget that we're human beings and we deal with everyday stuff just like everybody else deals with everyday stuff. It's just that our everyday stuff, when we deal with it, is compounded and everybody knows about it. It's highlighted because we're in the public eye. More so today in the 21st century than it was when we were playing ball, because they have, things are just so extra now when it comes to advertisements and promoting and things like that. But we have everyday issues too, and you have a story, and I want you to tell the people a story, because our theme for these first couple of weeks, we had Ricky Simmons on last week. Our theme for these first couple of weeks is from the NFL to the prison cell, then and now. So tell everybody your story, Tony.
Where you want me to start at?
just start, just go, and then when Tony, because I know they want to ask some questions. So when you finish your story, we're gonna fan the flames of conversation, and we're gonna bring some questions in that the people are, as they listen, I'm sure they're formulating some questions in their minds about what it is they want to know with regards to Tony Collins, maybe even Irving Fryar.
Just to give you a little bit of background, I'm from a family of 16. And I'm number 15, and so I have 8 older brothers. There's 9 boys and 7 girls. I have 8 older brothers, and we all wanted to play in the NFL. And like I said earlier, I went to my mom and said, "Mama, I didn't say I want to play in the NFL. I said, Mom, I'm going to play in the NFL." She said, "Son, you put your mind to it. You can do anything that you want to do." And so from the age of 10, when my mom told me that, I believe without a shadow of a doubt that I was going to make it to the NFL at the age of 10. And I love football, man. Just wanted to be a football player. And I used to watch football every Sunday, every chance I got when we came home from church. And so went through it all, got through high school, did really good in high school. Had an opportunity to go to University of Florida. I'll tell you that little story because I believe that your words have power. And so one of the things about me, when you come from a family of 16, you don't get to ride an airplane, never. So I've never been on an airplane before coming out of high school. And so I got a chance to go to University of Florida on a recruiting visit and got on the airplane for my very first time. I think I was more excited about getting on the airplane than going to the University of Florida. And so I got down there, man. Everything was fantastic. It was perfect. My high school colors were orange and blue. Florida's orange and blue. Everything just went perfect on my recruiting week. So I get back home, and in high school you get 5 official visits, and I had taken 4, and I had one more visit to take, but I wasn't going to take a visit because I'm going to the University of Florida. I even signed a letter of intent back then. Signed a letter of intent, got back home, and East Carolina University calls me on the phone, and I don't know if you remember this coach named Pat Dye. He coached at Auburn. He was at East Carolina at the time, and he calls me up on the phone. He says, "Anthony," because that's what they call me back then. He said, "Anthony, we see you got another visit. We want you to come to East Carolina." I didn't know where East Carolina was at, and I said, "Are you guys gonna fly me down?" They said, "Yeah, we're going to fly you down." Well, I was like, "Yeah, I want to come. I get to get on the airplane for the second time in 2 weeks. So I'm excited." And so I get down there, man, and this is what Pat Dye told me. Your words have power. Pat Dye said, "Son, if you come here, you'll get an opportunity to play, and you'll get an opportunity to play in the NFL." The coach at Florida didn't tell me that. Coach at Florida told me, he said, "We might redshirt you depending on how everything goes. But, man, we want you here really bad." He didn't say nothing about playing the NFL. And I called my mom and dad on the phone. I said, "Mom, I didn't want to go to University of Florida no more. I want to go to East Carolina University." Now, you understand this. This is back in 1977. East Carolina wasn't even on the map.
Nobody even know who.
My father says these words. My father says, "I heard of North Carolina and I heard of South Carolina. But where in the hell is East Carolina?" And so I chose, my choice was to come to East Carolina, and that's how I got to ECU.
Right.
And it was a choice that I really thank God that I made, because I have 2 children from the wife that I met at East Carolina, 2 fantastic kids, and But that's a whole nother story.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, we're going to get to that a little bit later on.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But like I said, they drafted me in the second round, and I got the opportunity to play because of an injury. Second year in the league, I get the injury. I get the broken ribs, cracked ribs in training camp,
Right.
And that's where the painkiller starts.
Right.
My second year in the league, and so I'm staying on the field. I'm still playing, but I'm addicted to these painkillers. I got to take painkillers in the morning. I got to take painkillers at night to go to sleep.
Wow.
And that's how my routine was. And I was taking so many painkillers that it was tearing up my stomach. One of the guys on the team said, "Man, smoke you some weed, and it'll take the nauseousness away from you." And sure enough, it did. And I'm popping pills and I'm smoking weed.
Right.
The weed led to me hanging around people I shouldn't have been hanging around, and that led to cocaine. Right before I had met you, Herb, I started dabbling into the cocaine. I was really a stranger with that because all I was doing, I just wanted to make sure I stayed on the field, and the weed was making me stay on the field because I was popping those pills.
Right. Right.
And it just led to a downward spiral, man. I got caught twice. So back then they would random test us.
Right. Yeah.
And I got caught twice.
I got caught once. Right. Remember they caught us, and because they tested us. Right. Apparently, it was said that there was an internal snitch. One of the guys on the team. I won't mention his name. But
don't
then
mention his name.
But the guys who had been who had gotten or tested positive, they named us right before the Super Bowl. Apparently, Coach Berry said he got duped somehow. So I guess, I don't know if somebody choked him to get him to say the names or not. But I don't know what dupe means to get him to say 6 or 7 names of guys. But remember that right before the Super Bowl, that the names were mentioned in the press. And
because you remember that party?
Yeah, I remember that party.
Yeah, okay. So that's where a lot of that came out of.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
That party.
But that's what we were doing. But that's what we were doing back then. We were on a roll. We were playing well. Playoff games. We get back from the playoff games and hit the ground running. We wouldn't even go home from the playoff games. We'd go out and stay out all night, drugs and partying and drinking. I'm surprised we were able to make that run that we made all the way to the Super Bowl, because it was on and popping with us, and we were people who were out of control. We really were when it came to the drugs and alcohol.
But at the same time, Herb, that whole season, if you look at that season, that whole season, remember on Mondays we used to always go down to that little restaurant. Sometimes the offensive line would pay, sometimes the receivers would pay, blah, blah, blah. We just didn't hang out on the football field. We hung out as a team off field as well. And so I think that has a lot to do with the camaraderie. But there was some good camaraderie, and there was some bad camaraderie.
Yeah. or let's put it this way. There was healthy camaraderie and there was unhealthy camaraderie. Yeah. Because you and I have a healthy relationship, but there were some unhealthy aspects to our relationship, and that was the drug aspect.
Unhealthy choices that we made.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened as your career went on, because there was a point in time when you were playing for I believe it was the Orlando Predators, that it's reported that you got in the car, drove your car into a lake, and they noted it or reported it as attempted suicide. Take us through what was going on, or what transpired from New England to that time after the NFL into the arena football career, and what was happening in your life.
Well, I got to tell you this part, because like I said, when the second time I got caught, I got released from the New England Patriots.
Right.
One of the saddest days of my life, man, when Raymond said we're gonna have to let you go. Man, I thought I didn't want to live, but that was a whole other story.
Mm-hmm.
But like a week after that, the Indianapolis coach, they called me up on the phone. Ron Meyer was the head coach there at that
Right,
time.
because he was our head coach when he was our head coach before Raymond.
Right,
Yes,
in
New England. Yeah,
exactly. And so I go to Indianapolis coach, and so okay, so now I have 2 strikes for me. I can't one more strike, and I'm suspended for a whole entire year
right.
from the NFL. Suspended, and so I understand. I'm totally understanding. I'm off the pain pills now. Got off the pain pills, and I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready to go, man. And I get to Indianapolis, and I'm the first one on the field at training camp. I'm the last one off the field. I'm the first one in the weight room. I'm the last one off the weight room because I want to make sure that New England, when they let me go, I was gonna say this is y'all shouldn't have let me go.
Right.
But
right.
anyway, I was in the backfield. I mean, Eric Dickerson was there at the time, so I'm in the backfield with Eric Dickerson, man. We finna roll. Second week of training camp, man, I'm rolling. I'm doing fantastic. Third week of training camp comes in. Choice. I make a choice to go to a party during training camp. Okay, so the guys were telling me, man, we gonna go to this party, man. It's gonna be on and popping. When they said that, I knew what's gonna be going on. But I understand the next morning I got to take a drug test because I'm taking a drug test every single day. I don't miss a day. And so I go to the party. Sure enough, they got cocaine there. They got marijuana there. But guess what, Herb? I ain't doing nothing. I did nothing.
But you're getting a contact.
Mess around with the women.
Yeah.
But
you getting a contact.
I leave the party, man. I was like, see, I can do this, man. I can go to parties without hanging out with people and doing drugs and stuff like that.
Right.
I get back to my room, wake up the next morning, go out to practice. First, I take my drug test, go out to practice, have a great day at practice, man. Another fantastic day at practice. Wake up the next morning, Ron Myers calls me into the office and says I was tested positive for marijuana.
Wow.
Because I'm in the room with all that marijuana.
That's right. You breathing it in.
Yep.
They call it getting a contact.
Not even thinking about that. You know what I mean? And I got suspended for making a choice to go to a party. And I couldn't. I couldn't say, man. I didn't smoke. I was saying that, but who gonna believe me? I'm two strikes, man. I got 2 strikes on me. So who gonna believe me? And I got suspended for a whole entire year.
Wow.
And came back that following year, and the Miami Dolphins picked me up. Played there that year, and then I got out of football. I mean, I didn't really get out of football. I knew my knees were hurting me so bad after that Miami year that I said, man, I really can't play no more. And so I was going to coach. I was going to coach for the Orlando Predators.
Okay.
And that was the thing. I was gonna try to get in some coaching, and I said, man,
turned into a player coach. You turned into a player coach.
I can play this game. And I started playing, man, and I started, but doing all that time, now I'm out of the NFL. Ain't nobody drug testing me no more.
Right.
So now I'm back smoking marijuana.
Okay.
And then it leads to cocaine and leads to a lot of other stuff. But that incident in Orlando, it was one of those 2 days things that you stay up for 2 days and you just smoking.
Oh, you on a binge? You went on a binge?
Yeah, I was on the bench.
Okay.
I was on the bench. Did not attempt to commit suicide. I was just riding, and man, I for some reason I made a turn. Something got in my way, and I was in the freaking lake.
In the lake?
Yeah, in the lake. And so
wow.
They said that he tried to commit suicide, but that was not a suicide. I was not trying to commit suicide at all. But I went through that.
Can I ask you something about that? Because here's something that kind of similar happened to me, and I don't know if you were still on the team or not when this happened, but it was also reported that when you had your accident, you ended up in the lake. It wasn't attempted suicide, according and I believe you. But the next day, or at least they thought it was attempted suicide, but the next day you were in practice, it said. Did anybody sit and talk to you, ask you what was going on, or try to help you? Did anybody say anything to you? Coaching staff,
No.
one of the doctors?
The head coach, brought me into the office. I can't even remember who the head coach was now,
Mm-hmm.
but he brought me into the office, and he talked to me. He said, "Everything okay?" I said, "Yeah, coach, everything okay." I had a tough night. That's all it was. It wasn't nothing. I just had a rough night, and that was it. That was it to the whole conversation.
Right.
But no one trying to help me. Not that I'm blaming that or anything. That was stuff that I was going through, because I'll put it to you this way. When I left the NFL in 1990,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like a failure. I felt like a complete failure, because I knew if I didn't do the drugs, do painkillers, do all that stuff, man, I should have lasted a lot longer in the
Right.
NFL.
Right.
I should have made my stamp a little bit brighter in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, and I really felt like a failure. And I went through this negative period of my life. And when I say negative, I mean, I would be thinking negative, that I messed up and everything ain't gonna go right.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a divorce from my first wife. This is all in a 14-year period now,
Right.
10 to 12-year period. Got a divorce from my first wife. Got a divorce from my second wife, and man, just life was just up and down. And I would stay clean for 6 months, and then I would go out, stay clean for a year.
Right.
I stayed clean for a whole year one time.
Right.
And I slip up and go out again, and it just went back and forth like that for about 13 years. And I was I was living with my son, because my second wife, I had my son with me from my first wife,
Mm-hmm.
and so we moved into a place with my nephew, and so we stand there, and I'm really living through my son, because my son has an opportunity to go off to college at University of Pittsburgh, and really living through him, trying to make sure he doesn't mess up like Daddy messed up,
Mm-hmm.
and so I knew for a fact that when my son left to go off to Pittsburgh, man, I'm finna get into the drug scene real soon, because he's not living with me now. I can't. I mean, that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew how it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And right before my son gets ready to go off, I'm working for this company where we're working with kids all over the country, and it was a pretty good setup. But my first day on the job was to come in, and I thought I was going to be working with kids, and I wasn't working with kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this little cubicle on the phone with the parents of the kids.
Wow.
Okay, and that's all I was doing on the phone. Okay, and so there's the cubicles look like. There was
Right.
a guy on the left side of me. There was
Mm-hmm.
a guy on the right side of me, and all three of us was our first day on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this is not what I want to do. I told the guy on the right, I said, man, when lunchtime comes, I'm going to McDonald's and I'm not coming back. Those are my exact words. I'm going to McDonald's. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear how this day turned out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go to McDonald's, and I ordered number one, Big Mac, no pickles, ordered fries, high C drink.
Okay, high C.
That's a number one.
Uh-huh.
So the lady gives me my bag, and she gives me my high C drink.
Mm-hmm.
And just like I'm talking to you, I hear a voice say, "Go back to the job."
Mm.
It stunned me at first,
Right.
and then I put my drink in the cup holder. I looked back, because man, this sounded like it's coming from the back seat. I looked back. I was like, did I just hear that? And when I put my cup in the cup holder, I heard it again, Irv.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the job. And so, coming up as a kid, your mom and dad, teaching you all these different things about God, and you believe everything they say.
Yes.
Because it's God.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom used to say a lot. It says, when you hear a voice and it's tell you something that you don't want to do, it might be the voice of God. And I remembered that, man.
All right.
It hit me just like
yes.
just like a bullet. It hit me just
Right.
like a bullet. So I go back to the job, and I'm sitting in this cubicle. The guy on the right, the guy on the left, both of them, they didn't come back.
Mm.
And I'm sitting in the cubicle, and I'm wondering, why am I sitting in this cubicle? Why did I come back here? I'm answering the phone, don't want to answer the phone. And so my phone stops ringing, and the guy who left, his phone starts to ring. I don't even want to answer my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I make a choice to answer his phone. And on the other end of that phone was a lady from San Antonio, Texas. And she, the first thing we say to the parents, we say, "Can I have your son's name, please?"
Mm-hmm.
She said, "My son's name is Terrence Terrell." I said, "Wow, that sounds like a football name." And she said, "Yeah, my son plays football." And she starts bragging on her son.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I got a son too, getting ready to go up to the University of Pittsburgh." So I started bragging on my son. So we're going back and forth. And I said, "Listen, I took care of what she needed to take care of." I said, "Listen, here's my cell phone number. Give me a call later." I didn't think she was gonna call me back, man. I just had no idea. I was just flirting a little bit, see what was gonna happen. But I had no idea that she was gonna call me back. But she called me back. She called me back, and we started talking. I'm living in Miami. She living in San Antonio. This is like maybe February. We're talking on the phone hours and hours at the time. She's sending me emails of TD Jakes and different people, positive stuff.
Right.
She's sending to me every single day, texting me positive stuff every single day. She knew my background a little bit, but she really didn't know what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And but her positivity made me fall in love with her, because now this is another fact. She would send me a few pictures of her because I'd never seen her before.
Right.
And she sent me one picture. She was like maybe like 25 years old. I was like, "You need to send me an older picture so I really know how you see, know how you look." And so but I had fallen in love with her, man, over the phone.
Wow.
And she changed my way of thinking, and that's all it took was when you get into different moods, or every day I wake up, I thank God. And I say, man, I believe on him. I'm gonna have a positive day.
Right.
I might not have a positive day all the time, but when I say that, I believe I'm gonna have a positive day. And I have more positive days than I have negative days. Believe me now. But I tell you what, she changed my way of thinking, and she's my wife today.
Trudy, yes, Trudy, yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
As you're telling,
and I tell her all the time, man, that it was God, but you saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
You actually saved my life, because I knew when my son was getting ready to go off to college, man, it was going to be party time for me, because my son was not going to be there anymore. And she filled that gap for me, man. And I'm so thankful to God, and I'm so thankful that I listened, because if I didn't go back to the job, I have no idea. I put it to you this way: I do have an idea. I would not be on the line with you right now if I didn't go back to that job. Wow. That's how sure I am of that.
Wow.
Yep.
And thank God for the women that he puts in our lives that see the good in us and stand by us and support us. Not being a fool for us, but I mean, it's like Moses in the Bible. If it weren't for the women in Moses' life, he never would have made it. His mother, who hid him and protected him. His sister, when his mother put him in the basket and put him in the Nile, Moses' sister walked behind him and kept an eye on him to make sure nothing happened to him. She watched out for him. She kept it at a distance, but she watched him to make sure he was all right, to see how he was going to turn out. Then the sister, who didn't have anything to do with him blood-wise, it was someone from the community, Pharaoh's daughter, gave him not a hand out, but a hand up, and picked him up out of the Nile. Thank God for, I'm preaching. Thank God for the sisters in our lives that look out for us, that God puts in our lives that look out for us. They don't give us a hand out, but sometimes they just give us the hand up that we need. Positive women that if it weren't for them in our lives, man, we never would have made it. And I can testify to that with you, the wife that Serena, who I'm married to now. She jumped right in the middle of my nightmare. Right when I was indicted, right when I was sentenced and going to prison, man, she jumped right in the middle of that and started out just helping me, and it turned into a relationship, man. And here we are still today. So thank God for that. You wrote a book. I got to put it up there. You wrote a book. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's called Broken Road, turning my mess into a message. There's 2 chapters in there. I want you to just talk about real quick. 2 chapters in there, and then we're going to see if there's anybody who has any questions. We do have a couple of questions, but there's 2 chapters in there. I want you to expound on a little bit. Chapter number 8 that talks about, you entitled it 2 Lives, and then chapter number 10 it talks about no regrets. Then we're going to take a couple of questions. So chapter number 8, 2 Lives. What is that all about? And then chapter 10, where you talk about no regrets. I mean, you like you said earlier, when you left the league, you felt like that you were a failure because yes, some of the choices or the choices and decisions you made, you believe led to your demise or your NFL demise. But here you are still today, a positive man making a difference in the lives of others. But talk about those 2 chapters real quick, and we're going to take a couple of questions.
The 2 Lives. When after I got out of football, my second wife, I got back into the church, man, and I was going to church, but I was going to church, and but I wasn't going to church.
You were in the church, but the church wasn't in you. You were in the church, sitting in the church, but the church wasn't in you.
The church wasn't in me, but everybody's looking at me and like, man, this dude really into it, and I didn't miss a Sunday. But going through the week, I'll be smoking weed, and sometimes if I could kind of get away for a few hours, I would be dipping and dabbing in cocaine. That's when I was just living those 2 lives, and it was brutal, because of the lying and just going through just the things that I was going through, because I wanted to present myself as a Christian, but I wasn't thinking like a Christian, wasn't acting like a Christian, and I was doing all this stuff at night, behind my wife's back. And that's where I was living the 2 lives, and when you live 2 lives, it's never going to amount to anything good. I mean, and that's why my spiral just kept going down until I met Trudy.
Right, and for those of you who are listening, there are a lot of people who are Christians. I'm not saying claiming to be Christians, but are Christians who don't live as Christians, and we have these 2 lives. The Bible calls it hypocrisy. Because the hypocrisy in the first century was defined by people who would put on a mask. They would put on a mask and they would act. They were actors and actresses that would put on a mask and act like someone else, act like someone they were not. And that's what hypocrisy is, where you're one way over here, but you're something else over there. And there are many of us today who have 2 lives. We claim to be one thing. We claim to love the Lord. We claim to be a Christian. We claim to be a saint. We claim to be a follower of Christ. We claim to be a disciple, but yet and still our actions don't coincide with what we claim or articulate verbally. What about chapter 10, no regrets?
The no regrets is, I look back at my life and see what God allowed me to go through. And I used to wonder a whole lot. I don't wonder anymore. I used to wonder a whole lot. Sometimes people, they get high for the very first time and they die. I mean, they go do cocaine and they die the very first time they use it. And there were times where, well, the one time that I OD'd, I stayed up. It wasn't a 2-day binge. I stayed up for 7 days straight, bro.
Wow.
The only thing I was doing was I would drink a little orange juice sometimes. Wouldn't eat. I didn't eat anything for 7 days.
You can't eat on cocaine. It doesn't let you eat.
Yeah, and so, man, and I was it got bad, man. And I go to the mirror and I look in the mirror, and my pupils are dilated so big, and now I'm getting worried, and I got to share this with you too, man. That this is so a lot of things have me just crazy.
All right, but
Okay,
hold it together. Keep it together. Don't start crying on me, man, because I can't be crying. I can't be crying. I'm gonna cry with you if you cry, but don't hold it together. All right.
those of you, for those of you who don't know, when you smoke, see back then we used to cook the cocaine up ourselves.
Yeah, we should do it
They
ourselves. Yeah.
there wasn't crack then. Crack didn't come to a little bit later on, I think. I don't know, but it might have. But we used to cook it up ourselves. And so um, on that seventh day, Irvin, I cook up my little rock. I put the rock on the table, bro. And when I go to get my pipe and everything, the rock off the table. It's on the floor. Pick the rock back up, put it back on the table. It jumps off the table again. Now I'm probably hallucinating because I've been up for 7 days. I'm probably hallucinating.
We said the rock jumped off. The rock jumped off the table all by itself. It jumped. It just grew legs and jumped. You're not gonna smoke me. Jump off the table. I'm sorry.
I'm this is the truth, man. I'm telling you the truth. And that's when I get up again, and I'm like, man, something's wrong. Something's really wrong.
Right.
And at the time, I had a female. She was asleep, and I go to her. I wake her up. I said, something wrong, something wrong, something wrong. And she says, maybe you need to go get some fresh air, because we was up. She been up for a while too, but she couldn't hang with it. And so I go outside, and as soon as I hit that air, I go into convulsions.
Wow.
On the ground. I go into convulsions, and I remember it so well, Irvin. I'm laying on the ground, and I'm calling out to God. I said, God, and I don't know if you ever. I know you ain't never had a heart attack before, but I felt like I had a heart. My heart was just pounding. I felt like I was gonna die.
Right.
I almost felt like the life was getting ready to come out of me. And I sit, and I'm on the ground, and I said, God, I do not want to die like this.
You sound like some of us. Do not want to die like this. Yeah.
And man, my heart stopped, got ease and everything, and everything. I felt fine. But now the ambulance is here. The ambulance here, police here, fire truck here, because she done called. She seen me convulsing.
Right.
She done call 911.
Right.
And
right.
so, but I'm fine. But now I'm all over ESPN. Tony Collins overdose.
Wow.
And so, but why I'm saying no regrets is because I thank God that He allowed me to go through all of that, because now I have a story to tell. And my hometown that I come from.
Yep.
Very small.
Penn Yan. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have an epidemic there that's crazy, where kids are dying off of drugs and just overdosing.
Right.
That little small town. I'm thinking, God allowed me to live so I can go back to my hometown and maybe save some people, man, for not doing what I did. And that's why I have no regrets. All the things that God allowed me to go through, I'm thankful for. I'm still alive today, and man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm living my best life.
I hear you, man. I hear
you. I have 11 grandkids.
Wow. Pop.
Just man, it to me right now, life couldn't get no better. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole entire life. And so I'm just so thankful and to God, where He allowed me to go through that, so now I can help somebody. Because here's the thing: when God takes you through something, He's taking you through something for a reason.
Yes,
not just for you.
Right? Preach, man.
For you.
Preach, man.
It's for somebody else.
Yes.
It's for you to help somebody else. And so that's when I started the foundation, and I started speaking, and I love telling my story, because I just want to help people, man. See, these kids today, with social media and so many stuff that they got out there, man, they have it worse than we had it.
Right, right.
And so they need guidance. And if they're, because their mom and dad, if their mom and dad don't go through anything, how they're going to tell them what not to go through?
Right.
But I've gone through it. And so I believe that God spared my life, man. So I can tell my story, write my book, and help as many people as I can. And that's why I started the foundation back in my hometown, because I was like, wow, this is incredible. And my little hometown has an epidemic of drug people dying. So
well, I'm gonna put that up to Tony Collins Foundation. You can support Tony Collins Foundation via Facebook. You can find it on Facebook, and it tells you all about. We go up and we have a golf tournament. We play up in Penn Yan, and we always talk about it's for the kids. That's the name of the foundation. It's for the kids. We raising money for the kids. I never knew it was called For the Kids. It's for the kids. So, and listen, anybody who's listening right now, if there's some things that have happened in your life and you're still carrying guilt, listen, if you've confessed it to God, if you confessed it and you turned away from it, and you try to do better in your life, the Bible tells us that there's no condemnation in those of us who are in Christ Jesus. So if you're still feeling guilty about something that happened in your past, that you did in your past, that's illegitimate guilt. That's not God. That's not the Holy Spirit causing you to feel guilty. That's something that Satan's trying to manipulate in your life. And Absolutely. That's illegitimate guilt. You're walking around with illegitimate guilt. When God forgives you, baby, you're forgiven. You need to forgive yourself and learn from whatever it is, mistakes that you made, and keep things moving forward. All right, we're going to flame.
Let me share this.
Okay, go ahead. This you.
Can I share this?
Yes.
I just want to see, because what helped me was because the devil would try to put all that stuff in my mind, all the stuff that I did, all the mistakes that I made.
Right.
He would bombard me with that, and so
right.
I came up with when I get one of those negative thoughts, I replace it with 5 positive thoughts.
Okay.
And I had that for a while, man. And once I got it down, the positive thoughts were more than the negative thoughts. And now I don't think negative anymore. I think positive all the time. Right. So it's like I said, it's a mindset.
It's the good news. It's the good news. We hear bad news all the time. We don't have a problem with bad news, but we need to get and remind ourselves of the good news. Yeah. No weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper. That's the good news. I'm more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. That's the good news. All things work together for good to them who love God, to them who are those who are called according to his purpose. I'm sorry. That's the good news. God always causes us to triumph in Christ Jesus. Y'all, that's the good news. You got to get some of the good news so the good news can get you over the bad news and help you to overcome all that bad news that we hear all the time, that we see all the time, that the devil tries to remind us of all the time. Whew, I'm sorry, you got me excited. We're going to keep fanning. We got a few minutes, or we're going over time, but we're going to take a couple of questions. We're going to fan the flames of conversation. And some of the watchers right now, do we have one? Okay, we're going to throw it up on the screen. And Richard Melton, do you guys think the NFL players of today are fighting drug addiction today? Do I think? Yes, I think they struggle with drug addiction. I mean, there are obviously more going on in terms of detection when it comes to drug addiction or drugs in the NFL. But I do think that they struggle with addiction. They have masking agents now that kind of they have ways of getting by or overcoming the testing process. So, but I do think, because the NFL is a microcosm of society, okay? The same things that go on in society are the same things that go on in professional sports. It's a smaller group. And you have people that come from all kinds of different cultures, all kinds of different backgrounds, all kinds of different ways of being brought up. And we have all these different struggles that we all deal with. So as we had mentioned earlier, we're real people doing real things that deal with real problems. So do I think there's some drug addictions or some people struggling with drugs in the NFL or any other professional sport? Of course, because professional sports is just a microcosm of society. And if, like Tony said, if it can go on in a small community like Penn Yan, New York, then it can go on in the NFL. it can go in the NFL. What do you think, Tony?
I mean, I'm totally in agreement with you because the thing now, I even think that marijuana is okay to use now in the NFL if I'm not mistaken. But
it is in the NFL.
Yeah,
marijuana is okay to use in the NFL. That's something I didn't know. I didn't know that. Get out of here.
You would not. They do not test you for marijuana anymore in the NFL.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Wow, that's something I learned today.
That's why what's called trying to come back now.
Who's that? Let's take another question. We got another question.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Richard Melton, being a former NFL player, is curious if the NFL contacts any of you guys for anything. Well, just to be honest with you, Richard, and I appreciate your question. To be honest with you, was it 5 years ago? I was in prison 5 years ago. I was indicted maybe, I think it was a little more than a year before that. Once I was indicted, at that time, I was a transitional coach. I had been trained as a transitional coach in the NFL, and I lost that job. I hadn't been convicted or sentenced or anything, and they fired me. I was a head coach at a football team, high school football team. I got fired once I was indicted. So for me, no, the NFL doesn't reach out to me necessarily for anything. They did assist me when I got out of prison, some of the programs that I qualified for, because when I got out of prison, I was almost destitute. I didn't have anything. I just gone through a divorce as well, so I didn't have a place to live, didn't have any money, didn't have any clothes, didn't have a car. So I needed to reach out to one of the programs that the NFL has in place still today, and they gave me some assistance with my living and helped support me for a few months until I got back on my feet. But no, I don't get a whole lot of calls from the NFL. What about you, Tony?
No, not from the NFL. I'm still kind of in contact with Pete Brock with the alumni with the Patriots, and that's pretty much all the contact that I have, but definitely not from the NFL. I mean, I think as far as what they do, as far as the insurance and everything like that, they take care of us with that. I'm happy with that. But as far as them contacting us or anything like that, no, it's more New England Patriots alumni that I'm associated with.
Right, and the NFL doing that as a whole. It's not Tony Collins or Irving Fryar individually that the NFL is reaching out to when it comes to the insurance. They're taking care of retired players and changed or increased our insurance or made it better and more profitable for us. Not profitable, but beneficial for us. And just like Tony said, I get calls from the Philadelphia Eagles, the New England Patriots, the Washington Redskins, the Miami Dolphins to come and do things, participate in some of the events they have at the teams. But the NFL in itself, doesn't do a whole lot of reaching out, at least not to me or to Tony. Anything else? We got one more. We have one more question. One more question, and we're going to close this thing out. Sylvester Webb, knowing what you know now, would you play in the NFL again? Knowing what I know now. What do I know now? No, I don't know nothing. If I did know something, got beat out of me. Knowing what I know now, would I play in the NFL? Well, and that's one of the elders in my church. So he kind of knows me a little bit. But knowing what I know now, would I have played in the NFL? Playing in the NFL, I was different than Tony. I didn't grow up a big sports fan. I didn't grow up and tell my mama I'm going to play in the NFL. I'm going to be this big, NFL football player. That's not something that I wanted to do. Even when it came time to be drafted, I really did not want to go into the NFL. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the Marines and fly jets off of aircraft carriers. That's what I wanted to do. That was my plan coming out of high school. But my mother said I should go to college because I had this scholarship. So in college, I took meteorology because my plan was when I got out of college, I'm going into the service as an officer and fly jets off of aircraft carriers. But that didn't happen. I got drafted and we needed a place to stay, or my mother needed a house. So I went ahead into the NFL, bought her a house and took care of her. I've been taking care of her ever since. So if I had to do it all over again, I probably would do what I wanted to do rather than trying to do what I thought was best for everybody. Not that I regret being in the NFL, but I do know this, that because I played in the NFL, because some people know me, I have a familiar name particularly in some areas, that made me a target and was a part of the reason I went to prison. I do know that. Tony, he froze up again. He's gone again. Well, listen, I don't know what happened to Tony, but I think that's all of our time. We've gone an hour and 15 minutes. So listen, we're going to close this show out. Oh, he's trying to come back again. I'm gonna bring him back, and then we're gonna close out. Here he's trying to come back in again. Let me see if I can get him back in. You keep leaving us, man. I'm going to close out the show. You just messing me up. But listen, I appreciate your candidness, your honesty, your openness, your willingness to get, some would say, let's get naked before the people. And you have to tell the real story, because people need to know that they're not the only ones going through what it is they're going through or dealing with what they're dealing with, that you can have struggles, that you can have, and you will have issues and problems and make mistakes, but you don't have to give up. There is hope at the end of the tunnel. And with a change of mind and change of action and a change of heart, I guess, again, it starts in your mind first, you can turn things around. With the help of God, things will turn around in your life and things will work out for good. So, Tony, we thank you for being with us. You're a strong man.
Let me say that.
Okay, go ahead.
Say this, Herb. I want you to know this, man, and I probably told you before. You know I love you like a brother, but I thank God for you, man. I really thank God for you, because I understand some of the things that you went through, and what the God allowed you to go through, and for you to be where you are today, man. It's an honor, man. I'm gonna just be totally honest. It's an honor to be your friend, because I cherish your friendship, because there's a lot of players that I played with that I don't care if they call me or they don't call me. It don't matter.
Right, I hear you.
Just being honest.
Yeah, no, it's the same.
With you, it was something that you were like my brother. And it's very few people that I feel that way about, because we've gone through a lot of things together. Mm-hmm. We've gone through some tough times, man.
Man.
And now God has brought us on this side, and man, I'm so thankful that what you're doing, and I would never ever think that Irvin Fryar would be a pastor of a church.
Yeah, I know. How about that? Oh my God. I was going to say we moved from the drug house to the church house. Yeah, I never thought I'd be pastoring either.
That's God, man. That's God.
Man.
That's God.
And it was that voice, just like you said, was right there that spoke. It was like someone spoke to me audibly. I was looking around too, and it shook me. And that's why I'm still pastoring today. When I got out of prison, I was trying to find a way not to pastor. And the Lord spoke clearly. He said, listen, I'm the one that hired you. I'm the only one that can fire you. Get your butt back in the church and do what I told you to do. And I'm still in the church, and the church is still going. The church is doing better as well as it's ever done before. And so, man, and when God speaks, man, it resonates in your soul. It just shakes all of you. And that's what happened to you when you were at McDonald's sitting in the car. It shakes you. And that's why I've never quit. That's why I've never fallen off. I don't get a salary at the church, but I've been doing this for 18 years, man, for free, as far as the people are concerned. But my reward is in heaven. My reward is in heaven. It has nothing to do with right now. So I thank you for those kind words, my brother. And I feel the same about you. That's why I have you on my show, because I know you have a story. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for you and I to share our stories with the people. And I'll always be in touch with you, man. That's why I come to your tournaments, because you're my man, pots and pans. You're the first encounter. You're the first friend I made in the NFL. And you've stayed true to that all the way up until this day. And it will be far beyond this life into the next. When I get to heaven, I'm going to look for you. I'm going to ask Jesus, where Tony? That's if you beat me there. If you beat me there, I'll meet you there. If I beat you there, you meet me there. But I'm gonna be looking for you on the other side.
Hey, you know what he gonna say?
What's he gonna say?
He over there watching football.
Yo, get off my show, man. Tell Trudy I said hi and stay on. I want to talk to you for a minute. Don't go anywhere, all right? I'm going to take you off the screen, so that means be quiet, all right? All right. Everybody, that concludes our show for today. I want to thank our guest, my friend Tony Collins, for being with us. Shout out again to Alicia Way for these dope overlays. Shout out to Lou Rogers, Vision Audio Visual, our videographer. Shout out to the Green Legion for helping us promote the Fryar Place. Shout out to my in-studio assistant, my daughter, Adrian Fryar. Remember, this broadcast was brought to you by Ecamm, virtual software made for Mac that carries your message across the world. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with next week's guests. Guess who they are? The Marx brothers, Mark Clayton and Mark Duper from the Miami Dolphins. My name is Irving Fryar, and thanks for joining me at